Hello, good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. Let's start today's class. So, how are you doing today? How is your day going on? Let your friends know that the class has started. And for you also, this is your time to get your water or your tea or maybe a cup of coffee, anything that you like. Then we shall start the class in just 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes. And until we start our class, I saw that there are a lot of you who have done the homework but still remaining. And also, some of you are just sending the homework actually inside the Telegram group, but necessarily you should fill in the form that has been sent, like a homework one, homework form. You should find it pinned in the Telegram group. So go ahead and check it out and make sure that you fill in the form. All right. So let's start revising what we've been learning yesterday as our fellow students start to join. So can you go ahead and mention some of the things that you remember from previous class? Today we are starting a new topic. So let's start revising about HTML, some of the tags that we've been learning. When you remember, the tags right in the comment section, and also say what you what that actually tag means. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. So okay, Kuda said forms, uh, but can you explain what forms are and some of the maybe the attributes regarding forms? Hello, hello, good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on the part of the world that you're at. Um, so, what we're doing right now is for us revising what we've been learning yesterday. So, can you go ahead and start mentioning some of the things that we've been learning yesterday? Uh, and also explain actually what that is. For example, Yeni said relative path is used to add files inside our project. Yes, using relative path. That's correct. Also, keep on sharing what you've Israel said, I think it's better to take the course for 2 weeks. Actually, this is a demo version of the course. We are providing it for free. There is a paid version of the course, which I'm going to talk about this today. And it's going to take nearly a month. So you're going to crystallize everything until you're able to host a website online, making very good intuitive websites. So this is a compressed version of the course. I understand it goes a bit faster, but then you have the videos. You can always go back and go ahead. Even there is a couple of sections that have been reduced so that it fits this training. Yeah. And good maths tutor said we have learned about semantic. Yeah, that's correct. But can you also explain what semantic is? Parent directory said Ephraim is moving up one level up in the folder. That's correct. So you keep on moving up and up until you get to the very folder that you like. But Besha Ashanafi, you said path, but can you explain what you meant by that? Islamic Chronicles said path, absolute path, relative path, and fill the others. Okay, can you also maybe explain one of it? So Beza, you came back again. Absolute and relative paths. We use absolute paths for like forms somewhere else, like or CSS files, which are using HTTPS or HTTP. But relative paths are like for different folders, but necessarily in the project near the project. Yeah, that's good. So I think we can jump into for today's class. For those of you who haven't sent out your homework, please do send out your homework in the form that has been sent out. You can always redo it for yourself, but for the grading purpose, you need to do it before we close the form. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, so today we're going to proceed learning on CSS. CSS is can someone remember what CSS was? I've tried to introduce you in the first day what CSS is, but can you go ahead and explain what CSS is? Hi, Dagum. How are you? Can you go ahead? We're trying to start CSS. Can you go ahead and explain if you remember what CSS was? Okay, Rafik Awad said cascading style sheet, which is used to give a website the style we want. Pretty much. That's what it is. So CSS, there are three ways to add CSS to your file. And we'd also see the anatomy of the CSS root. It's pretty much straightforward. And it's the same whenever you add it to any type of website, any type of HTML. It's exactly the same, nothing different. So CSS selectors is also something that we're going to discuss. There are basic CSS selectors and also advanced. I'm going to point out some of them so that you can always go ahead and serve to understand in depth for the advanced selectors. Let's start off with the type of CSS selectors. So CSS basically is as a cascading style sheet, which is used to style your HTML, uh, maybe the color, the size, spacing, layout, everything. Literally, any beauty that you see in a website is due to the HTML, due to the CSS. HTML is the structure. So before we've been doing, unstyled sheets, but now we are going to make them more beautiful. So that's how CSS comes in as very important. So there are three basic CSS ways that we can use. The first one is inline CSS. The second one is the internal CSS. The other one is external CSS. So mostly what we use is the external CSS. It's recommended, or maybe I could say it's a bit mandatory that you use external CSS for many different reasons, which we're going to discuss. Inline and internal CSS, for the sake of knowledge, I'm going to explain to you, but necessarily we're not actually using it a lot. So inline CSS, what it means is, for example, you've been using the paragraph tag, right? So this is the paragraph tag, P, and then you can write this is a blue paragraph, and you can close the paragraph tag. But if you'd like to style the color of that paragraph tag, you can put in style equals to color blue. Yeah. So necessarily this is inside of the the HTML itself. So we use it actually for a quick test on our HTML, and also maybe if you would like to override all the applied styles of the basic CSS, then you can use it here. But necessarily we don't use it, especially when your projects get bigger. It's highly not recommended to use it. The other one is internal CSS, and internal CSS is a CSS styling way that we put it on the head of the HTML, not inside every specific tag. We put it in the head. And this is the way that we can be able to use internal CSS. And the last one is oops. I have the other one is external CSS. I don't think the slide is here. Oh, I don't know. Um, It's okay. It's not included in the slide, but I'll show you an example, so nothing to worry about. Okay, I'll explain it to you with example. So external CSS is something that we've been doing, like saying creating a style sheet. Look, in the folder structure earlier, we created index.html, and then we create a new file, and we say this file style.css. Okay, you can see that it's a bit different also with a hashtag something. So I'm going to do an example which is going to describe to you how it actually works. So before I do a CSS example, it's important that you need to know the anatomy of a CSS rule. This rule applies in any type of CSS application that you're going to do on styling your HTML. It's fundamentally the same thing for all the styling things that you do. So the first one is the selector, and the second one is the property, and the last one is the value. So for the selector, which selector means which element are you actually selecting? Are you selecting the header H1, or the paragraph P, or maybe the input, or maybe the image? What are you actually selecting? Or maybe are you selecting a certain class all packed up together? Or are you selecting a very specific unit using an ID name? So selector is a way that you're going to select from all your code which part are you going to style. That's what it means by selector. And property is what you want to change from that selected property. Let's say you have selected the paragraph, and the paragraph have a lot of properties. For example, it could be the size, it could be the color, it could be the background, it could be different things. What are you changing for the paragraph? And that is what we're going to change in the property. And the last one is the value. The value is, for example, if you have selected the color for the paragraph, then what is it going to be the color? Is it going to be blue, black, orange, violet? Or if you're trying to change the paragraph's font size, then what is going to be the size of the font or type of the font? Is it going to be Roman Italy, Time New Romans, or Arial? Which font are you actually going to apply? This is what we call the value. So lastly, after doing this, and it's going to automatically start to apply it to your uh, actually HTML. Let's start coding. Okay, so in our index HTML, there are a couple of things that we have done yesterday, but for you, I really suggest that you start a new folder so that you can save what you've been learning yesterday and not override it. For my case, I'm going to just keep on working on this one for the sake of time. So as usual, we start with doc type, which is telling the browser that it's an HTML file. And we're going to write the root HTML and head. Title for today could be CSS foundation, and the body, we can write something very simple for you to start with. This is H1 header. Let's say we want to add up a span here. You would also understand what span means. I have already taught you, but you can crystallize it now, how it's important. And then we can add something different, like paragraph. I can say it's recommended that you use external CSS instead of internal and inline CSS. Okay. Now doing that, the body is done. Yeah, voila, that's much enough. So now let's save this and try and give it a style. So for the style, as I've said, there are 3 properties that you always need to include. The first one is you need to add which selector that you're looking for. Let's say for my case, I'm looking for H1. So I'm going to open up a curly bracket, okay, not other brackets. Then I can give it a color of maybe yellow or green, orange. And you can see that there are a lot of ways that you can be able to select colors. Either you can write the color itself, or maybe if you have the hex code of that color, every color does have a hex code. You can also put the hex code of that color. I can also go ahead and select paragraph. Okay, so the anatomy keeps on being the same thing. If I select paragraph, I'm going to say paragraph P for paragraph, and I can give it a font. You can see there are a lot of properties that you can play with. There is font size, font family, font weight, font style, everything that you can add to your styling. So for now, I'm looking for font size. So the way that you should always follow is put in the selector. So this is the selector, and then next comes the property, and finally the value for that specific property. So I'm going to say 20 pixel. I'm going to show you how you're going to select between different sizes. For now, and mostly we use pixel, but I'm going to explain different sizing arenas that you can be able to apply. So 20 pixels font size. Voila. So let's save this, which means this CSS has been done, but I really need to connect the CSS to my basic file. So linking the file is, we can say link, and the relationship type that we have is a style sheet, and which style sheet we give the reference href, and you may need to put your folder structure in a relative or absolute, or in any way that you have to, based on where your file is actually located. For my case, it's in the same folder, so I'm going to say style.css and put in the closing mark. And let's save this. Let me go ahead and So let me go ahead and run the HTML. In live server, you don't open up the CSS. It's not going to work. You only run the index.html, all right? Okay, here we go on live server. I think it's going to a different screen. And let me make it come here. Okay. You can see that it's a bit better than it used to be. You have color now. You've also tried to give a size of something else. And we can also keep on editing. So to tell you about what span is, I'm going to put in span. Okay, so for that span, give it a font weight of bold, and also I would like the color to be more like highlighting stuff, so maybe green. Yeah, green, yellow. Yeah. So if I apply this and you can see that H1 now has been changed into a different color because H1 is inside a span. So this is one of the importance of using span. You can see that I put a H1 under a span, which means I can be able to change it independently. Yeah. Do you have questions regarding this explanation that I've done? If you have questions, you can ask. If it's clear, say it's clear. Is it clear? If it's clear, I'm going to pass on to questions. I mean, sometimes your questions are so funny. Someone said, I don't know what you wanted to say, McQuarrie, but you said, please send the PDF of the video. I'm not sure if videos have a PDF version. Or if you meant the slide, I've discussed about that. So yeah, maybe you can clarify your question. Okay, Heno said, can't we just write CSS code in the same page? Of course you can. Of course you can. That's one way that I have showed you, but it's highly not recommended. It's highly not recommended for you to do that. It's highly not recommended. Okay, I don't. Hallelujah said, I don't understand what span means. Okay, I'm going to explain that. Explain spam said also Yeni. Others said it's clear. McQuarrie said he's looking. I think you're looking for the slide. So the slides are, we're not sharing the slides, but the videos are there for you to always recheck. Bordenbach said, should we write separately from HTML? Yes, I really suggest. You can write inline style, but it's highly not recommended. For example, let me create another one. what's the difference between family and side? I don't get your question, Theodore. Can you explain it a bit? Family and side. I don't understand. Okay, so look, span is a way that you can select a specific part of a paragraph, a header, anything that you write. Okay, I can be able to select, for example, these. It's recommended that I can select this. If you would like to select this independently, then I put it inside a span. Okay, so which means if I use the span, then necessarily what it means is I can be able to apply that styling to the span. If I now save this and go to my file, you can see that it's recommended that has also been applied with the style of the span. Did you understand what a span is? So this is a span, this is a span. Every spans that you have selected are going to have the same style. Okay, the other thing is someone said, so internal CSS, for example, for this, let me create one div, a block element. Let me say div, and inside here, a paragraph. Okay, so I can put a style here. That's something possible. And maybe I can give a color for this paragraph to be gray. Maybe I want it to be very different. So violet. Yeah, let me close this. So this is what we call inline style. I can be able to apply this, but it's going to be a nightmare if your project grows. You're never going to find out where you have applied what, and it's going to be complicated very easily. So it's a very bad way of styling. That's why I don't really recommend you to do this. The other one is you can put it in the head also. You can put in the header, you can say style, and inside here I can put let's say span. Maybe I can explain something very important. For span, originally the color for the span was light green yellow, but here let me say red. The way that you can put inside the header is the same, except you put it in a style tag. You don't have to do this. I'm just explaining because someone asked. So if I save this and go check out the website, you can see that now the spans has been changed into red because the overriding power of CSS styles grows as they go inside the HTML. So if we put in the overriding power, the first in the power to override the rules is the one inline CSS. And then next comes the one internal CSS. And finally, the external CSS. So anything that you write inline is going to override everything, every rule. And the next in the hierarchy is the internal CSS, and finally the external CSS. but necessarily I really highly recommend you not to do this. So this is out of the internal CSS, and this is coming from the uh, external. This is coming from. I'm sorry. This is coming from the inline CSS, while this is coming from the internal CSS. Okay, so Edna Tesfaye also said, I don't understand about spans. So I believe there are a couple of you who have understood. So let you guys start to do the 1 minute challenge. And for those of you who haven't understood, I'm going to re-explain it, okay? So what we're going to do is, I'm going to send a picture of this exercise in the Telegram group for you guys. Okay, I have sent out the exam. I'm sorry, not an exam, just a challenge. Go ahead and do it for those of you who have understood. But some of you haven't understood about span. I'm going to explain it back again. Okay, so a span is a way to select a certain part of your paragraph. So I'm going to start to talk with someone who haven't understood. I think Edna. Edna, are you with me? So have you ever used a highlighter? So using a highlighter, you can be able to highlight a certain part of a paragraph, right? Or select a certain part of it in your textbook. Likewise, in a paragraph that exists in a HTML document, you can be able to select a certain part of the text. For example, here I've selected H1. You can also be able to select a part of text like recommended that, or even the whole paragraph. Okay, Edna, I understand your computer is lagging, but if you understood, finally, just confirm that you understood. Or you can revise the video that I sent. The video, you can revise back from this video. Yeah, okay. This is Pan. You guys go ahead and start doing the 1 minute challenge. I would like to see what you're doing. So this 1 minute challenge is for you to create a simple page where the heading is blue and the paragraph is gray. And in this exercise, it's mandatory that you use external CSS. Start working. I just saw someone else sending out their homework in the Telegram group. Please don't send out uh, t- um, your your homework in the Telegram group. Please put it in the form. In the forum, okay? This person. Okay, someone has done it. That's correct. Thank you. I'd appreciate if you could also send the picture. I would prefer looking at what the output instead of the code. This is day 4 heading. This is a paragraph. Yeah, voila. This is the first day HTML course. There are so many things we have learned from it. Thank you. This is the first day training. Great, 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 great. Okay. So I see that a lot of you have started to work on it, and it's not something very difficult, right? So we create a heading and we make it blue, and we write a paragraph and make it gray, and we should use external um, CSS. So someone said it's rejecting my homework and it's says server reject. I think it could be a connection issue. Assistance, please assist him in doing this. Okay, so let me do the exercise for you. Okay, so the question is for us to create, let me remove this. First, create a heading. Let's say H1. Today is November 20th. And I'm going to add a paragraph. This is the first CSS class. Okay, let me save this, go to my styling sheet, and for H1 color, what color are we doing? We are doing hashtag 555. I think you can add the rest. All I wanted was the 555. Actually, to make it gray, I don't know. Yeah, back. And for the paragraph, this is for the paragraph. For here, we need to make it blue. For the paragraph color, I'm going to give it hashtag 555. I don't need this for now. Let me save this. And if I go to my web page, today is November 20th, and this is the first CSS class. This is the challenge. This is how you're going to be able to do it. I'm going to send out the code in the Telegram group so that you can always revisit this. This is the CSS, and this is the HTML. Okay. Let's continue. So we just saw a CSS selector, how you can select the basic ones, but it goes way beyond. So there are 3 basic CSS selector. The first one is element selector, and the second one is the class selector, and the last one is the ID selector. So an element selector, which means you're going to choose an element from all what exists in the HTML. So if you select like H1, then you're selecting everything. Let's see them actually independently. So element selector is selecting as elements, specific elements like P for paragraph, span for span, or H1 for header one, div, every tag that you've been learning until this point. That's how we can be able to select. So if I say P and select the paragraph, then it's going to apply the CSS to all the files, all the paragraphs. It's not going to differentiate any of them. It's going to select it for all the paragraphs. And the second one is the class selector. So for the class selector, we need to first give it the attribute of class, which I've explained in last class. Just for the purpose of revision, class is a way of putting a couple of things all together. Okay. For example, tomorrow we're going to group you into certain groups for your project development. Then you're going to have, let's say, 10 groups. So each person is going to actually be part of a certain group. So each group is a class with 10 people. So you're going to discuss independently, and that class is different from class number 2 and class number 3. So the same way, even though they are the same paragraph elements, I can be able to give them different classes. Here, you can see that I've given a class of highlight for both the paragraph, which is going to identify them from all the other paragraphs. We're going to see it with an example. You can see that I can give a class selector on the CSS file by saying .highlight. So when you're selecting element, you just write ph1 name of the tag. When you select a class, you put dot before the highlight, before the class name. Okay, before the class name, you put a dot, as you can see here, dot highlight, and then the other is the same, like the property and the value, you do it the same way. And the last selector is the ID selector. So an ID selector is if you give a specific ID to a certain element, and then you can identify it independently. So I could be calling out all of you from the class using your names, right? The same way in a selector that's ID based, which means I'm going to I have the power to select a single element independently. That gives me an independent selection power. So this is what we call the ID selector. Actually, we're going to see every one of it in an example. To avoid some complication, I'm not going to start to work with this, but I feel like it's sometimes important. So I'm going to roughly explain it so that you can write it down as a note, or maybe come back to the video to listen back to it. So there are a couple of advanced selectors. First one is the group selector. You can select a couple of groups all together, like H1, H2, paragraph, div. You can be selecting everyone together, but make sure that it's the same elements, the same type of selection. The other one is a universal selector. Select every element on the page, every single element on the page. Okay, nothing remains, whether it's paragraph, heading, span, every single thing. It's going to select every single thing. And then this is mostly important for you to revisit the bare structure, or reset a couple of things. We don't usually do this unless you're trying to debug something else. Also, you can use attribute selector. Attribute selector is, if you remember from yesterday's class, which is your homework, you can be able um, to take an input from the user. So that input could be a text, that input could be a password, that input could be different things. It could be a selector or a button or different things. So for those all the selectors, for those all types of attributes, you can be able to select them to apply the CSS. For example, for a specific input, I can say type equals to text. So which means every input which with a type of text, I'm going to give it these CSS application, these CSS uh, uh, property and value. Okay, let's go ahead and do example, because I think examples are best way for you to crystallize what I've been discussing. Okay, let me try and explain what I said using an example. So let's create a couple of tags with ID. This is header h1, and I'm going to also do duplicating this. And also create another one, paragraph, which I'm going to give it, this is a paragraph. Maybe learning class and ID. Okay, so we have that. And to show you one of the advanced selector, I'm going to also take an input, not a form, just an input. Okay, you can always also use input without a form. So I'm going to say text placeholder name and maybe another input of type email. Placeholder is equals to email. Okay, I think there is some syntax issue. Also here. So now I'm going to give a couple of them a certain class that I like. So I'm going to say class is equals to a web, maybe web class, web class. Also for this class, I'm going to make it web class, and this one class is equals to design, and this class also I'm going to give it a name of design. Even though it's different type of elements, I can cluster them in the same class. For this class, I'm going to make it web class, class equals to web class. Okay, we have design class, web class. Maybe for this last one, let me change it into ID. So ID equals to design 101. Okay, so now that we are done with this, let's go out and go to the styling sheet and start styling. So if you would like to select, Islamic Chronicles, you asked me what is the difference between element and ID selector. So I'm going to show you just in a way in a second. Maybe let me add for you to understand it well. One of these, I'm going to remove the class for one of the H1. Ishi, let's go. So I'm going to say H1. Here I'm going to give it a color of orange and font size of 40 pixels. And I'm going to select another class. The other class that I created was web development. Web development class, I'm going to give it a color of green, yellow, and font style, I'm going to make it italic. Okay, by the way, for the colors, when this thing, you can hover over this thing and select any color that you like from the thing that appears if you're using VS Code. And for class selection, you can do a hashtag. Hashtag, what was the name? I think design. And I can give it a color of indigo. And font weight of 200. Okay, so we have H1, then we have web development, and we have design ID selected application of style. So this is a class. I selected a class, Islamic Chronicles. That's your question. So this is an element selector, which means it's going to select everything related to H1. But necessarily the H1s that are in a class, it's going to be overridden by a class. This has more power. The class has more power. And if that specific H1 does have an ID, then the ID is going to be the more powerful than both the class and also the element selector. So keep in mind about these priorities that it's going to apply. Let's go ahead and check out what it actually has done. Okay, you can see that this is header 1, H1, this is H1, this is H1. So this comes from the class, I believe, because even though I have selected H1 specifically for this one, hold on. Let's refresh this. Oh, it's web class. The class that I've done is not correct. I think I said web development, but it's necessarily web class. Okay, let's apply this. I haven't correctly selected it. Okay, now you see that which ones are web class. Look, H1 in the middle is web class, or I can say here web class, so that I can always check. This is design class, and this is design web design web class design 101 ID. So the ID selection that I've done is also, I think I just say design, but it is design 101. We have another class that is design class. So for the design class to select it, I say design and give it color of mango, maybe, if that color, magenta. And font size, I'm going to make it a bit bigger, maybe 50 pixels. Okay, now you can see that here, this is a header H1, and this is barely taking the H1 style because it's not in any of the class. The other one is, this is a header H1 class. Maybe let me reduce this size so that it doesn't get too much big. It's a bit distracting from us to see. So I'm going to make it 25 pixels. Okay. So we have 3 H1s, as you can see, 3 H1s. But this H1 is not in any of the classes. So it's going to apply the basic H1 element style. This one, the green ones, this is header H1 web class and learning class and ID web class. This is taking the property of the web class, but the sizes are different. I'll come back to that. This is a header H1. It's taking the class also, the class of design. You can see that their color is the same. But I think I haven't specified the font size, but I did for the font size of the design class. Maybe there also, maybe I have to specify font weight and everything so that it comes in the same way. But usually, you don't. This is for me to explain to you. But necessarily we don't put classes of paragraphs and classes of divs together. Okay, we put classes of paragraph or maybe classes of a couple of headers together. We don't put a class of header and a paragraph because their original size differs a bit. That's why their size is not coming up to be the same thing. Okay. font weight 50 pixels. Yeah, there is, because this is a header, there is a property of the header. This is a paragraph, and this is a property of a paragraph. That's why their weight is not the same. But you can also do that to have the same weight. The internal property is reflecting, that's why. But it's inheriting, also reflecting the classes property. So you can cluster classes together and give them a certain property. For this one, this is with an ID class, and it's got its own specific property. The other ones you can see, this is matching this one because they are in the same class. This is matching this one, even though their size and weight is different, because the previous ones are H1s, while the rest are paragraphs. But this paragraph is independent, and it doesn't really apply for any of it. Yeah. Okay, the last one is applying to the input. So this is another advanced selector. You can say type equals to maybe I think we have also written a text one. So I can say text, and inside here I can give it background color. Yeah, background color, and let's give it something like salmon color. You can see that the text type has been selected, but not the email one for the background of it. So there are a lot of applications that you can do. It's not something that I can cover. There is a lot of property that you can play with. Okay, so since VS Code suggests what to do, you can always go start working. So let's proceed into the next thing before we start to exercise. Understand you get the concept very well as you exercise it also. Okay, so before we exercise, let me actually say a couple of words regarding the full training. It's not so easy to grasp the concept of website development with 1 week. I really understand, but this is for all of you who are not also living in Addis or living in other part of Africa. That's why we provide the online version. This has been thankfully sponsored by our partner. But for you to have a very good understanding and grasp every route and start developing, we have classes, both online, in person, and group classes or individual classes. So we're going to send out a form. Dave is going to send you a form that is going to tell you or request you which class do you actually prefer if you're looking to take the full. So if you're looking to take the full course. So if you're looking to take the full course, then would you prefer it to be online or in person or a group? All of those questions would be added, and Dave will be sending out this form in just in a minute. So please go ahead and fill out what you look for. This form is only dedicated for the ones who would like to proceed learning in a paid manner, paid version of the course. So this course is generally going to excel you to be a web developer, front-end developer. I remember yesterday someone was asking what is full stack web development. So full stack web development is a way that you can actually develop all side of the website, both front end, which is the visible part of the website, and back end, which is the back side of the the website. So a full stack development usually takes a bit longer than uh, uh, front end only. So yeah, this training is going to focus on the front end, and also the paid version is going to focus on the front end, including some important uh, uh, things beyond CSS, like how would you host the website, how would you be able to use another good styling methods, like for example there is a framework known as Tailwind CSS, which is much powerful than the bare CSS. It's CSS, but it's a kind of CSS framework which makes life much easier for you, so that you can style in a very good way very swiftly. So we'd be showing that. For the price, we would like to support the community. So in the form, we're going to also request you which price range actually fits you. So please be fair, don't select the minimum one. This form is only for the ones who are going to look forward to learn online or in person, individually, or yeah, everything. So if you're looking to learn individually, please fill out the last section. There is going to be a comment. Yeah, that's it. So as you go ahead and work out the exercise, we're going to send out the form. So this exercise, what you need to do is write a CSS that makes all H1 elements red. Create a class .not that turns text blue. Maybe you can create a paragraph. And the other one is create an ID special that makes text green for the paragraphs. Don't do it as my case, like giving a class of for the headers and paragraphs the same class. For me, I did it because I wanted to explain. But for you, cluster paragraphs in a class or cluster headers in a class. Don't put different types of elements in the same class. The last one is style all text inputs with a black border. Oh, I haven't taught you about border. So go ahead and do it if you know how to do it, but it's not mandatory. We have the next section is about actually this. Okay, you have a couple of minutes to start to do this. Maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, go ahead and start doing it. Okay, guys, I hope you've done the practice question. Um, so it's quite easy, but we can do it together if you want me. But necessarily, I can pass it if you feel that's clear. Should I do it? If I hear like four people saying do it, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm going to pass it because most of you have done it. And regarding the form, Dave have sent out the paid course survey. So please fill in this form if you're actually requiring, if you're actually taking the training, the paid version. Don't do it if you don't, if you're not planning to take a paid version. So for anyone who's actually registered in this form, to be taking the paid version, whatever the course price it's going to be, you have a 500 per discount. Okay, so you can also uh, benefit from this discount. So I think most of you have said pass it. For those of you who've said do it, I'm just going to send out the code. It's necessarily the same thing that I have done previously. Actually, there is a solution. I'm going to post it. No worries. Okay, let's use 2-3 minutes. If you're not actually part of the family for Infnova Technologies, please go ahead and uh, uh, you can find us in any of the social medias through the link, the QR code, using the QR code. Also, we really appreciate it if you can join our YouTube channel, because I understand some of you are just watching us but not subscribing. I really appreciate that you do subscribe. Let's have 1 or 2 minutes for social media, and also you can take a screenshot of this training and go ahead and post it in any of your social media so that we have a lot of community that we have, even bigger than what we have today. So please do this by taking a screenshot. You can share it on your LinkedIn or on your Facebook, Instagram, or any of the social media that you would like to actually do. So let's do this for 1 minute and then I'm going to pass on. You can scan the QR code, or maybe I can also send you the link tree so that it's much easier for you to start to click. Okay, there you go. I have sent the link tree on Telegram. You can be able to connect with us. Okay, let's proceed. So we're going to learn two basic things. The first one is CSS units, and the other one is box model. So since box model is more important to learn at this point, I'm going to start off with a box model, and later we're going to see with the remaining time CSS units. Okay, so I'm going to pass on to the box model. Okay, so the box model is something very much fundamental, fundamental that that applies. Sorry, I'm seeing something else. So box model is something fundamental for all the elements that we use in the HTML. So any element in the HTML is actually with a box model. So the box model has four important things. Four important things. The first one is the content. The other one is a padding. The other one is a border and also a margin. So the content is the actual content, whether it's the text, image, or a logo, or an icon, anything else. That's the actual content. After the content, there is a padding. You never saw it because you didn't apply any colors and everything. You never saw it. That's why. But now, as we start to style it, it will be visible for you. So after the content, we have a padding that you can apply different things. So this is the top padding, this is the right padding, this is the bottom padding, and this is the left padding. After the padding, we have the border. And after the border, we have the margin. So this is a step that every element is actually there uh, in the HTML. So you use this structure to actually style any of the things that you like. So let's go ahead and create something else so that we can actually start to apply some beauty. Okay, let me go to my coding. If it's any of importance, I'm going to share you this code in the Telegram group. So for the pricing, some of you are asking what's the price for the full month. We have sent out a survey. We'd like to stick with you also to the community. We don't want to be, our ultimate goal is spreading out education. So fill out the form, and we're going to tell you at the end of this training. So there you go for the CSS file, and also yeah. Okay, that said, let me clean up my body part. Actually, let me save some of them. So I'm going to add one paragraph, and in this paragraph, I'm going to say paragraph is a way to express okay. So now let's start applying the box model. Okay, let's go to the styling sheet. I hope you can see my screen. If you don't, please go ahead and tell me. So let me select H1. I believe we have an H1. So I'm going to give it padding. Padding is something that comes after the content. So H1 padding, I give it 20 pixels, and padding, there are a lot of properties related to padding. Maybe let's go for border. Border, for the border color, I'm going to give it orange, and border border maybe size or style. Yeah, we can make it solid style. And that's for border. And also let's give it a margin. It's, let's say, 20 pixels. And yeah, so we've covered content, padding, and border, and finally margin. Everything is there. So let's go ahead and see what actually happened to our look now. So you see that this is the border that goes all the way, and this is the content. So anything in between the border and the content, that's the padding. And after the content, after the border, until any other distance, is what we call the margin. For example, if I increase the margin, what's going to happen is these texts are going to go downwards. Okay, let's try and do that. So margin, I'm going to make it, instead of 20, I'm going to make it, let's say, 75 pixels. You see now, there is a lot of margin that is going on in this area, which is dropping everything downwards. If I increase the padding also, that's going to happen to the padding. Okay, you can apply these to your styles in a way that you like. And for the border, you can have a couple of styles. Maybe I said it's solid, but you can say dashed. So now you can see that it's a dashed one. There are a lot of things that you can do to the border style. You know, I can say border radius, and maybe I can give it in pixels of, like, let's say 10 pixels. I think that would be enough. Now you see that the borders are a bit rounded edge. As you increase the radius, it's going to be more rounded and rounded, almost ending up being a circle if I give it bigger and bigger. So this is the box model, and it applies to everything else. So just to give a quick recap for the box model, we've just said that the content is the actual content, and then comes the padding, and then the border, and then the margin. You can be able to select any specific side of the border or the padding. I can say padding top, and I can apply specific things to that specific one only. Okay, I can do that. For example, border radius, maybe I can say border bottom, color, I believe I can do that. Color and color red. Mm, I think I'm having an error because of this. I don't know where this error is coming from. Um, oh, it's border bottom color, and then I can give it red. Also border bottom width, and I can give it to be more thicker, let's say 25 pixels. You can see that it's this has not been applied. Maybe it's not feasible to do that. That's why. Okay, I had spelling error. You see that I have applied something to the bottom. So the bottom one is more thicker and it's red. So you can start to apply and do creative things with this. Okay. So where's today's attendance? Say it's someone else. So for you not to have a confusion, the exam would be the attendance for today. Okay. I don't think it's been sent. So it's going to be the exam that's going to be considered as the attendance. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to give you an exercise on this for you as a homework, but I would like to explain one last thing um, before the end of the class. This is the example I've showed you. This is the homework I'm going to give you, but I'm going to give you a bit a bigger one because you can do a relatively a project type. So also, Dave, can you send out a form for grouping so that they can start to fill as they learn? So Dave, can you please send out the grouping form? So the grouping form is something that you're going to use so that what it actually is important is we're going to group you into groups, and then you're going to do a project which you're going to present at the end of this training, which is going to be on Saturday. So on Saturday, we're going to complete this training, and you're going to present the training, the work that you've done. Okay. Please go ahead and do that. Dave will be sending out the form. Doing a project is very important as you learn a lot through the project development, and also a teamwork is something very important when it comes to software development. So there are units that you should be very aware. I really appreciate it if you can go ahead and read a lot or watch a couple of videos. We're going to also make videos regarding everything that we've been describing. So there are units that you use in CSS. There are absolute units, which are pixels that I've been using. This is something that we use very often. But there are also relative units, which is very important if you're doing a project. It gives a size based on the other parent size or the fundamental sizes, and the other one is viewport unit. Let me go ahead and explain it in a faster way, because I believe you need to at least be introduced, but then you can enhance it. Okay, having a unit standard for your website is very important. Sometimes I see websites which are, quite heavy in different sizing, and it's very informal. If you're writing a book, then the sizing of the paragraphs, the headings should be similar or at least cohesive. Likewise, this should be true for web development. So the first one is absolute units. So absolute units, which is pixels. You give whatever pixel that you like for any of the sizes. Maybe it's font size, border size, it's a margin size, and everything else. You're going to do that. The other one is the precise control. This use case is for precise control, buttons, border, spacing, and everything else. The thing is, it's not flexible for responsive design. It's a bit rigid. What you've done is not actually going to be flexible. That's a bit of a challenge when it comes to this. The other ones, for example, the relative one, the first one is percentage. You give, instead of the pixel size, you give it the percentage, 50% of the width. And it's going to copy from the parent folder. If the parent in the block is a div, it's going to copy the style of the div. And it's going to take 50% of the width of the parent div or the parent maybe other blocks. Okay. If it doesn't really have any parent, then what it's going to refer is the fundamentally set rule by the HTML, by the browser. Okay, so it's going to copy that. So it's flexible. When you resize everything, it's going to resize together because it's percentage, not a specific size. The other one is root EM. Root EM is a way that it's relative to the root font size. So there is a root font size, there's a root heading size for everything in the HTML that has been set already. It's going to always copy from that. So if I say font size 1.5 REM, root EM, which means it's going to copy from the HTML to be 1.5 of what it was. Originally, it's 16 pixels by default by the HTML. Then it's going to copy it to be, 1.5 means 16 plus half of 16, that's 24 pixels. This is consistent and predictable. Generally, the relative ones are predictable. And scaling across the page is much easier. The last one is just EM. It's relative to the parent folder, whatever the parent folder has, but instead using a unit of EM instead of percentage. So how did EM came? Please go ahead and research. This is quite interesting. Me and Dave were actually discussing about this before the class. It's got quite a history of how EM came into the unit. So it's useful to control the child elements inside a block in a very scalable manner. Okay, when you scale the whole parent, then you scale also the childs. That's how important that is. So I understand that you may not be using everything else, but at least you'd be using pixels and percentage. So pixels for absolute sizing and percentage for relative ones. But also keep in mind about these units which are available. Okay, so let's proceed to the exam section. As usual, I don't know how many minutes do they have, Dave? Can you tell me how many minutes is today's exam? So until Dave says the minutes, for the project, we are going to randomly assign you assign you into specific groups. Okay, it doesn't really matter which person that you're going to join. It's what you're going to do. So this way also you start to network with new learners from other part of the world or maybe Ethiopia. This is going to be good. So the project that you're going to do, you're going to select a certain project that you would like to implement. You discuss with your team and you agree to do one. Okay, you agree to do one of it. And that project, you'd have a mentor for each of the uh, for each of the team members. You have a mentor, and the mentor is going to guide you if your project is too big to realize it, because you only have one day to actually do your project. Then it's important that you actually do something very fair, not too big, not too small. You're going to start to work on your project. To discuss about it tomorrow, we'll give you 20 minutes or so to start discussing, and then you'll be developing and showing off on Saturday. So on Saturday, we're going to finalize everything in the morning. Saturday, we're going to start in the morning, and then necessarily you'd be doing your project, and then I think in a couple of hours, you'd have your demo time. So for some of you who would like to see our space and training center, for Saturday, you can come in person, okay? In person, if you're in Ethiopia. We are located at Kazanchy's. We'd send you a map, a Google map, and also a location pin. So for Saturday morning, you can come and take part in person. But let me ask you, do you prefer it to be in the morning or in the afternoon? We're going to send out a poll, okay, in the group. If it's the afternoon that you prefer, we can do it in the afternoon. If you prefer it to be in the morning, we can do it in the morning. And for those of you who would like to come and do the activities in person, it's really open. You can come to our space and do it there. Yeah. That's pretty much it. So for the exam, they've said 10 minutes, but someone said let's have 20 minutes. Let's come in the middle ground and maybe 50 minutes. All right. So Dave, can you go ahead and send out uh, the form? So for your groups, we're going to assign you. Okay. We'll send out a form. Just make sure that you fill in the form. We're going to cluster you into groups. That's okay. So there you go. So for morning, afternoon, please don't do it here. Maybe Nati, the assistant, can you go ahead and create a poll and pin it in the group that says the last day for Saturday? I think it's going to be November 22. Do you prefer it to be afternoon or morning? And then we're going to select the one with a lot of votes. Personally, I prefer it if it's in the morning rather than in the afternoon. Okay, go ahead and do your exams. Exams, I believe, has been sent out in the group. Dave, I believe you have sent it out, right? Okay, there you go. 15 minutes is out. Start working on the exam. The attendance for today, don't worry. If you do the exam is going to be also considered as an attendance. They say the quiz is not working. Can you please check? I believe the quiz is working now. Can you please try? Reload the page. It's okay, I would add 2 minutes for you. Please go ahead and try it now. Can someone confirm if it's working? Can someone confirm? For the attendance today, don't worry because we'll consider the exam as an attendance. Okay, it's working now. It's working. I'll add 3 minutes or something after the end of this. So for some of you who haven't, completed uh, the exam, please go ahead and complete it. We have added uh, uh, 5 more minutes. For those of you who have completed, have a good night. Keep on working and start to think about your project, what you're going to do, as we're going to connect with groups tomorrow. Okay? Have a good night.